things changed. So yeah, it'll be interesting
Mhm.
if he joins to hear how he's finding his experience of power.
So if he relinquishes his admin, then is the group just disbanded and completely gone? What happens then?
You're gonna have to come back in, Chris. That's what's gonna have to happen. Take it over again. But
Hmm.
anyway, just sorry, that was a quick aside.
Okay, you guys. Welcome everybody to the open Zoom meeting. Chris, good to see you after I don't know how many months. It was a long time ago, I guess. Joined. Amor again. He's picking up pace. He's here already the second time. Good to see you also. Keep your eyes on the road, my friend. Garrett, always lovely to see you. Sylvan and Claire, nice to have you both again on the meeting. Rosa, sweetheart. Gio, main man from Brazil. Nice to see you again. Now, Phyllis Smith. Hey, Phyllis, nice to see you. You're muted, but you can unmute yourself
Yeah.
if you want to say something.
Hi. Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome.
Thanks for the invitation. And
Welcome.
yeah, thank you.
Razia, everybody knows her. Nice to see you also. So welcome everybody to this meeting. So there's just whatever seems to be happening, sitting in a Zoom meeting. I would say there's just a directness of whatever is happening, which may include the idea or the belief that there is something really happening, or the lack of that belief, or the idea that there is a you, there may be even a feeling there's a you having a life, there maybe is a feeling that there is a you and something else called non-duality, which you are willing to find out what it is, or there may be the idea or thought there's a you and something else called enlightenment or freedom, which you can attain if you do a lot of practices, have a guru, go to therapy or not, or whatever. So, either way, there's just simply what is, and not even as there isn't an actual thing happening. But as far as thoughts, beliefs, ideas, claims, words seem to suggest, there's just simply this. Which is this already? The idea, belief that there is something or not, or the feeling. And there's no separated you apart from this, whatever you want to call it, life, energy, awareness, consciousness, God, boundless cookies, love. So there's just this, which includes the suggesting there is just this. There isn't even a this to begin with, as an actual this, as an object or something in time and space, which can be found, used, seen, gathered, lost, or whatever. So welcome everybody. So good to see you. Yeah, let me go to Geo directly, because Geo, most of the time there's something, during the week from meeting to meeting that you seem to have a question or you want to suggest something. So Geo, what's coming up today? Do you have something?
Nothing today. No,
Beautiful.
not really. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that's it. Meeting's over. We can all go home.
Already home.
There's nothing to get. I mean, there's not really to get. So this meeting is also not about, explaining that there's nothing to get, because that would be just the next thing to get, that there's nothing to get. I mean, nothing to get is just still another idea that there's nothing to get, which you can get, but it's already ungettable. The idea that there's something to get, or the belief that there's something to get, or the lack of that belief is already ungettable. There's no you to get, that there's nothing to get, or the opposite. But at the same time, believing that there's something to get may happen, believing that there is something for me as an individual, to attain, which will make my life much better, may happen innocently, effortlessly, until it just simply dissolves. This idea or belief that there's something to gain may just simply crush or shift into the next so-called belief that there's nothing to get, which is just another idea arising. So I would say there are things to get and there's nothing to get at the same time, apart from the what is, which is this already. Rosa, we missed you last week because you didn't have any sound, so maybe you want to boom in, like you always said, or boom
So you
out, or
can
whatever
hear
you
me
want to
now?
boom.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you. I hear you, yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my mic was damaged or is still damaged, but I got those this headset, so it works. Perfection. Yeah, sweetheart, I love how the way you are booming out always. I 1000% I'm with you. What else? From the very beginning, and it's always a joy. What to say?
Thank you for sharing.
How are you, sweetheart? What's up there?
Well, sitting in the meeting is what seems to be up. Yeah, communicating, talking, sitting, watching, seeing familiar faces. That's it. Yeah, easy going, I would say. Winter, there's not much going on
Oh,
here at the
the
moment.
thing with the wood. You had a lot of physical work because of the wood cutting, right, sweetheart?
Yes, yeah. So every winter you need wood to keep the
Mm,
fire burning.
yeah,
So in this time you get the new trees, which
exactly. I
go-
saw it here in the city forest. There are like so to say that the trees are cut, they're lying there, and then they are marked with different colors. And if you buy some of them, you can go there with your car and just cut them small and put it on your car and go home with this. And it's all organized, of course. And I was thinking of you, sweetheart, when I walked on the weekend.
yes,
Uh,
yeah. Wood chopping is a big activity here. To stay warm in the winter.
I remember last year you did a video while you were kind of wood chopping and throwing it into.
Yes.
Mm.
All
Yeah.
there. Wasn't very philosophical. Is that what they call lumberjacks? Someone who chops wood?
Uh,
Oh.
I think it's an American word, but we have two beautiful guys there from the States. Maybe they can explain the definition of a lumberjack, but I think it's someone who's cutting timber, big
That
trees.
is correct. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it is. It's lumber is wood of any kind, and a jack is someone that does something like jack of all trades.
Ah,
Jack, he's a jack means he's a doer of something. It's a jack.
oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a
Ah,
doer, a wood doer. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yes.
I've learned something in this meeting, Sandra. It's been useful.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, you know, uh, so, so there's no intention for this meeting to be useful in any way. This is not about sharing some higher truth or making everybody see that it's just this because, yeah. But at the same time, yeah, I've learned something today. It's called the lumberjack. That's it already. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that learning may not happen, but there's no separated you as a separated someone who's learning. As a as a you outside of the idea that there's a you learning something or not.
And it's kind of like a haunted thing too, because jack-o'-lantern for Halloween, I know in the US, at Halloween there are pumpkins. And it is supposedly an Scotch-Irish tradition that the immigrants brought with them to the colonies. And it's celebrating, it's like taking over All Saints' Day and the Day of the Dead in the Catholic Church. So it's a big time where everybody is scared of ghosts and witches, and kids go around uh, knocking on doors, and everyone gives them candy. It's a big deal in the U.S. They call trick or treat. So it's
Ah,
trick or treat.
Yeah,
So
we
give
have
us a
that
treat.
here.
Yeah. So the pumpkin. There's always the tradition is a pumpkin that's carved, right? Carved with a face, and they put a lantern inside, or now a light bulb probably, and it's called a jack-o'-lantern. So there's Jack's there helping with the witches and the warlocks, and it's a very cool holiday because it's one of the only ones that is non-religious.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
we have it here also a little bit in Sweden, I guess. In
uh,
Europe, it's also more popular now, Halloween and trick or
yeah,
treats.
that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Not as much as the US, but a little bit.
You have it in
Well,
Brazil.
it came from nothing originated in the U.S., but the Indians. What the Indians do, everything else is imported, right? I don't know if there are going to be tariffs on everything, but everything else comes from somewhere. Everything comes from nowhere, we could say, but it's in the somewhere-ness. It comes from Ireland, Scotland.
Where does non-duality come from? Who first came up with that term?
Well, I mean, it doesn't, there isn't a thing called non-duality which came from somewhere already. So the whole question, it gives rise to the idea that there is a thing called non-duality which came from somewhere, which started
Or
some.
there's as much a thing as non-duality as there is a jack-o'-lantern, because it's a word, isn't it? It's a concept. It appears to exist in reality.
Yes, of course, it's of course if you talk in those terms, but it seems very confusing in a way that, because if you look at these groups also, there seems to be the idea that there is a thing called duality and another thing called non-duality, and then there's a me, and I'm living in one of those, which itself is already not dual. Non-duality means actually not two. So I mean, of course you can see it as a thing. It doesn't matter. Seeing it as a thing or as no thing is already not a thing to begin with. There are no things, and at the same time there are things. I mean, you cannot avoid it. But it seems to be very confusing. You see a lot of people, yeah, I'm in duality. How can I become non-dual? There's no you in any state. Duality or non-duality are not two different states. There isn't. If we would say there is duality and non-duality, it's already not separate. So where does that leave duality and non-duality when it's already not two? But if you want to go into the so-called story, I would say, about non-duality, I bet we miss Tony, because probably he can tell you a lot about the real non-duality, and he's not talking about the Facebook non-duality, because that is not real, but the real the guru stuff, the real non-duality. I mean, it's all bullshit. So here there's, I mean, yeah, what to say? I don't know even what to say. But Geo, come on, non-duality.
Yeah, it's funny to see how this vibration of not having the proper words got people generally. It's not only me. In the last few days, I just couldn't find a purpose for words. It's funny. I mean, we could go on talking about anything, but I am unable to focus on something like non-duality. Nothing makes sense, you know. And I'm not the only one. I somehow feel that there are more people having the same vibration. It will pass.
Yeah, beautiful.
Some other bullshit will arise. Yeah.
Oh yes, in a way, it's all bullshit, right? I mean,
Yeah.
some seem to have the idea that their bullshit is smelling better than other ones' bullshit, but it's all just bullshit. I mean, the words coming out here or the words coming out somewhere else, it's all this, it's all this, it's all the same, it's all words, it's all beliefs, ideas, thoughts, and not even at the same time. I mean, that's just another thought, belief, idea that it is. So, Russia, you have your hand
Those are
so nicely, so I want to give you a chance to say something. Please unmute yourself.
Hello. Yeah, when we look at the word, I mean, I like what you said, like, that to even talk about duality is separation, kind of a thing. But I mean, like it's been around for very long. It's not like it just appeared. If you look like back at Hinduism, there is, it's in the whole oldest of books they talk about non-duality, like thou art Brahman, thou art Brahman and there's nothing else. Thou art that. So, yeah, but now what has come recently is neo Advaita or radical non-duality. That's the thing. I think with Tony Parsons and Jim Newman, Tim Kliss, Sanders, it's a new kind of what did I say? Non-duality, radical non-duality. So yeah, it's been around for long, but the radical one I think just came up now. So people are looking at where is awareness, where is consciousness. Even the word consciousness will say this too, or awareness, implying that there is more than one.
But also religion,
So,
right, Russia?
thanks.
I mean,
Yeah.
even some in religious circles, they say there's just God, there's nothing else. So
yeah, even in Christianity, if you look at the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are one.
yes,
The Father and I are one. There's no difference. There is that kind of thing even in Christianity.
exactly, and but where it differs a little bit is, there's not two, neither one. There isn't a thing, which is one. It's also in a certain way misleading, right? So we are all one. It gives the idea that there is a oneness which is, existing out of different parts, but there is already not a thing which is existing out of different parts as a thing which has parts. I would say it's,
Yes.
I mean, words seems to, there isn't, I would say there isn't a thing apart from this. And this already is not a thing. So people seem to have the idea that there's something which is more substantial, which you cannot talk about. But that itself is already this. The idea that there's
Yes.
something which is more substantial or hidden or more profound than this is this already. There isn't a separate hidden thing as a you or something which is more than this, which itself is this already, of course, and nothing else, not even nothing else. I mean, everything can seem to be objectified, right? If you say nothing else, gives the idea that there's something else which is nothing.
Yes.
Just,
Yeah,
just a,
and what we
go ahead.
looking
Yeah.
at is people seemingly there is an appearance of people having non-dual experiences. You know, like they see through whatever this is. Like, you know, I don't know how to say that, but I mean
yes.
it's it's not only a concept as such. It's
No.
an experience. But then now we go back to duality, the seeming experiencer, but there's no experiencer as such.
Exactly.
But it seemingly happens in the dream where people shift.
Yes, there's no separate
Yeah, thanks.
experiencer. Correct. You know, as a you being the so-called, like an awareness cloud, being aware of life or of this, you know. There's no separated you doing the seeing, or a separated you doing the doing, or the non-doing, able to stop doing the doing or the not doing. Gio, you wanted to say something. You remember?
Yeah, Riza raised the question of radical non-duality. I think that radical non-duality is not that, it is also called uncompromising message, right?
Yes.
They also say that it can be called radical or it can be called uncompromising message. If you look at the Tang dynasty in China, like Heng Po, Bodhidharma, Huineng, they were all uncompromising completely. They were totally radical. They would, when they were dialoguing with disciples or questioners, they wouldn't let the questioner go away into time, not for a second. They were totally radical. So I think radical non-duality is not, it's not a, it's not a, it is a manner of saying something where you don't allow the listener to travel too far away very quickly. You
That's
cut
beautiful.
it very quickly. No,
Yeah.
right? He said
I feel
it's a
like
manner. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Sander, when you speak, I get the feeling that that's is that sort of. I know I'm not trying to force you to label what you say or do,
You're
but
welcome, sweetheart.
that's sort of how it, because every time we sort of, I mean, even me earlier saying, well, what is non-duality? You say, well, who, you know, it is or it isn't. It's sort of that bringing it very closely back to the inner circle,
Yeah.
I suppose you might say.
Oh yes, there seems to be, you know, the not going into compromising stories, so to say. You know, and this
I
can be
think that's
this can be enjoyed, this can be not enjoyed, you know, this can be resonated with or not. That's just simply it already. So yeah, fair enough, you know. And I mean, at the same time, I totally enjoy, you know, what Gio was saying, because it was a beautiful way of, you know, describing, I would say, how some speakers seem to speak.
like yourself.
Yes.
You are very uncompromising. I would say you are radical. Because if people, when people start traveling too much far away, you immediately say no, but that already is, it is already this. There is no need to seek or to search. There is no separation. You immediately cut it off, right?
Yes.
At least most of the time. Yeah.
Yes, correct. And I'm at the same time, you know, that there. So this is not at the same time. There's no problem with, you know, so-called uncompromising or compromising speaking or whatever, you know, like talking about today I did this or that, you know, it's already just simply what it is. So it's not better. It's just how the cookie crumbles, I would say. Um, but you know, it doesn't mean that it's about, you know, one way of speaking. You know, there's just speaking. There's just no one speaking, which again is quite uncompromising message again. So it's
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. You are being uncompromising right now. Yeah. You know, when people say, well, I don't know, I feel so separated and I feel that there is an inner entity here in my body. And then what is the uncompromising attitude? You say, well, that's also it. It's not separate.
exactly, yeah. It's whole and complete as whatever it seems to
Yeah.
happen, innocently so. Um, Phyllis, I hope I pronounce your name right.
Yeah, that's fine. Phyllis, yes. It comes from the Greek, like philosophy or philology, or I think it means as knowledge. But anyway, so what do we don't want is knowledge. We've had so much of that. I'd say that what came to mind, I probably forgot most of it, is that radical non-duality is sort of like what radical non-duality is to other teachings, as Luther was to the Catholic Church, or Protestantism is the Catholic Church. That Luther and the other reformers wanted to cut to the chase. None of these saints and holidays and Virgin Mary. Let's get right to right to the heart of it.
Ah, okay.
And he basically, that's the kind of feeling it is. No, we don't need all that stuff about Saint Mary or virgin birth. No, there's just God, and God is Jesus, and you don't need a priest. You talk to God directly. So we're kind of on the border of something there. You and God are being one because the conversation is only there. So we're cutting out lots and lots of the middlemen or middle women. In that sense, radical. Because most speakers that are not radical non-dual, they they're, they want to give you something, or the seeker thinks, if I listen hard enough, I will understand, and I will get something. Because in all teachings, forever except this, there's always been something to understand. And here, there isn't anything. So that completely blows the mind. There's nothing to get, nothing to understand. And at the same time, as you say, it's all welcome because it's all that as well.
Yes.
But there's not a getter, because that's the suffering of the seeker is, if I listen hard enough to enough speakers and enough seminars and enough weekends, I'm going to get this thing, which is outside of me. So that's where maybe sometimes a person, or let's say a person listening to a radical non-duality speaker, something, was you say in English, the penny drops. And it just happens.
Yeah, this remembers me of Geo. Geo, you wrote something about the fruit dropping, right?
I vaguely remember, but yeah, oh yeah, well, that was in relation to action, right? I mean, we cannot do anything. There is nobody to do anything. So the only option left is going with the fruit that is ripe and falls. What else? There is no entity able to do anything about.
But another entity, but there is another entity, kind of gets it because the fruit is ripe, it drops, or the penny drops, and there can be I don't know, an implosion, or I don't know, nothing. There's nothing to get, but there is I don't like the word understanding either, but there's a resonance with that, exactly what this is and isn't at the same time, as you
I
said.
think it's
Yeah.
actually quite helpful to talk about what is it that causes the fruit to drop? What is it that seems to sort of, we say there's no entity who does this, but yes, there's obviously something, you might call it awareness, you might call it grace, something sort of divine. I'm not sure exactly. I think there is value in talking about it, because then you sort of can, maybe there's a connection that you can feel with that, and then if there is work to be done, if there is things that need to happen, then having that connection with whatever this is, seems to be fruitful, and then the fruit is more likely to fall because you've got that sort of connection. So by saying, oh, there's nothing, there's no entity, it doesn't exist, I don't know, that feels a bit nihilistic to me. That feels a bit kind of hopeless. I don't know what other people think.
Well, you would have to define what is an entity. As I see, entity is something that has a fixed, something that goes on in time, right? That it is the same as it was a minute ago, or an hour ago, or yesterday, or 10 years ago. I cannot find anything.
No.
Now that I finished saying this, suddenly I say, well, I do see something that is unchanging, but that's because I am in time. So when we are in time, we say there is something that is infinite, that never ends. But when there is no time, where is the entity? I mean, to say that there is an entity, you would have to compare it with a non-entity. And there is neither.
Is it not you, Gio? Because you say you sort of have a feeling or you have a sense of something. Is it not you?
Instead of calling it you, I would rather say I, right? Not
Oh,
you,
you
I.
say I say you.
No,
Or I say I and you
because,
say you.
yeah, and it's always I. I think there is no other way to refer to it except as I. I cannot say that you are such and such. It is misleading. You are, because then there is an entity here pointing to something that should happen to an entity over there. And the only door is I.
I think that's
And
so
even
beautiful. Sorry, I was just going to say quickly, I think that's sort of what the beauty in some of these meetings are, because if you feel that for yourself, you say, yes, this is me, it's I, it's almost like it's also you, so you see yourself in another person.
well, when you see yourself as another person, then it is you, but this you is not an entity, it's a functioning.
Yeah.
You cannot go, right? Okay, I would put it from another perspective. There is no localization in the universe. There is no locality. There is no right, left, up, down, here, there. We don't know where we are. But this body, or that you are calling you, he has a relative localization, because I am here, the window is there, the door is there, so I have a relative localization, right? We can talk like that. And I think that's what Claire usually wants to mean, that there is an entity that seems to be localized, because I am here, the window is there, those books are over there, so I'm localized here, I'm an entity, right? But this is a relative point of view.
And it's also based, yeah. It's also based on the so-called physical identity with the so-called physical form, calling that the me. You know, there is no entity outside the suggesting or the belief or the thought that there is an entity to begin with. So there seems to be an innocent, you know, I would say, stream of thoughts claiming there to be a you amongst others, a you as a separated individual amongst others, which already is not separated in itself. And there's no you outside that innocent stream or storytelling of that there is a you born into this world, having a life, you know, being needy or not, seeking for help or not, or claiming that this can be helpful or not. So there's just simply what is. So the idea,
Yeah,
so the idea that this
sorry.
can be helpful is just simply what is, until it just isn't. You know, this well, this can be helpful, or maybe if we talk about this, this can be helpful or not. That's it already. There's nothing more to it.
And suddenly the sense of localization disappears. That's the strange and funny and amazing aspect. You are
Well,
here, but you have absolutely no idea where you are. What is this? The, it's in some text it is called zero dimension. I mean, we don't know what is this. We don't know where we are. We don't know anything about this dimension, about this localization. Then I remember Claire, and she says, "Oh, but there is an entity." Yes, then we have to snap back. This seeming entity is localized in relation to the chair, to the table, to the books. Now I snap out of that without wanting, but suddenly it happens. And I have no idea where is all this. It's so amazing. I mean, you are completely lost, you know. You have no reference points whatsoever. And suddenly that is love. To be completely lost without any place to drop your anchor is love.
yeah, thanks, Gio. You know, and I mean, when it comes to localization, also, there's no actual feeling of not being here to compare with the feeling of being here to begin with. There's no actual feeling of being here or being somewhere else, as there's no feeling of being not here. There's just an innocent, I would say, story going on that this is you, the one drinking the glass. That's me, that's my neighbor. Outside of that, there is no location. There's no actual feeling of being here or not being here.
Yes, because where is here? For here to be in relationship to something, there has to be two. And if there isn't, the entity, for the entity to believe it exists or to exist, there is a time and space are assumed as that's how the human evolves in time and space. Born, grows up, gets married, has a job, gets old, gets sick, and dies. Okay? For that, we need time and space. But if we erase that, if there just isn't any, it's all story. It's all
Yeah.
there's time and space is necessary for the human to have a story. There's a I who is born, etc. But I'm not a Christian, but I'm going to quote Jesus again because I love what the non-duality that he speaks of. And Robert Wolff wrote a book. No, he's a non-dual teacher, more like a cowboy, lives in California, about the non-duality in the Gospels, the Apocryphs that were banned by the church. the Gospel of St. Thomas, Gospel of Mary, because they're very non-dual. And when Jesus says I don't know what it is, the lilies of the field have somewhere to go, and the birds have a nest, and the dogs go home, and the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head. So there's nowhere. You say there's no handles to hold on. There's nowhere to rest or to not rest. It's just there isn't anything. It says the Son of Man has no home.
Phyllis,
Yes.
how do you know this?
I don't know it. I heard it. I think it's beautiful. I don't know anything. I'm just saying what feels beautiful just comes out. I don't
Nice.
have it.
It's
I don't
that
have an agenda.
Nice.
Huh? Yeah,
yeah.
I don't have an agenda. It just we all know it's all spontaneous, right?
Yes.
The mouth opens and then blah 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 comes out. And I can't control it. And the idea that I could say anything else is a dream. Huh?
I like the idea of always being on the go, Phyllis. There's something quite nice about that. Like you say, there's the sort of freedom. There's the in the not stopping, in the not having a nest. There's a sort of like liveness. There's a constant
Yeah,
movement, a constant change and
yeah,
evolution. We're never stagnant as humans, and
yeah.
we're
It's
always
always
growing.
free. The
Yeah.
idea of free and not free. But if we need language to describe it. That's it, huh? We can describe something that cannot be described, but we kind of feel, we're kind of hinting at it.
The funny thing is, oh, sorry, Rosa. You go. Oh, I can
Continue,
say
Stella.
quickly. The funny thing is though, with the words, actually, that is what stops the progress. It's that sort of when you try and label it, when you try and talk about it, that sort of seems to impinge on the progress, on that constant flow, that constant change. So it's funny because we do need language in order to be safe and in order to kind of keep going with the flow. But then at the same time, if you invest in the language, if you start to believe that it's real, it can sort of almost weigh you down. So you're running along like a horse, and suddenly someone puts reins on you because those are maybe the words or the concept. So I think let's just keep on running and try not to think too much about what we're saying. And I'm going to be quiet now. Rosa, sorry.
Or we can say the language needs us.
The language needs us.
Well, I mean, language itself doesn't need anything already. Even the idea that it needs something or it doesn't need something doesn't need anything already for it to be whatever it seems to be.
And the other way around.
Yes. So, I mean, it's funny, because you hear it a lot, we need it to describe it, we need this to do something, to describe it, as if there is something which is more than this. They're trying to describe it, or the belief that there is something which is it, which we can describe, is this already. There's nothing else. There's nothing more to it. This idea that there is a higher dimension or something fantastical, somewhere down the line, like a big bucket of gold, which you reach if you go to enough Zoom meetings and do all your practices. That in itself is already the pot of gold. There's nothing else. It's all gold. There's just no one for who the gold is. At the same time, that's the gold already.
But isn't there a stream of thoughts, of beliefs that is sort of uh, being an obstacle?
No, Gio, no, of course not.
Well, I mean, that, in a way, that's just another stream of thoughts and beliefs claiming it to be an obstacle, which is just another stream of thoughts claiming it to be this or that, which is this already. So,
It
I mean,
must be, yeah.
yeah, so the whole idea that it's an obstacle, or that there are obstacles, is already just simply this. But there's no separated someone for who this can be an obstacle or not.
Mm.
Do I get to say yes?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
say.
That's it. That's, yeah, there's nothing, just the words. That's it too. The 4 words that came out. That's the whole shebang, huh? All at once.
Mm.
Some talk about fullness, the feeling that it's also free and full. We don't have space because it's all filled up already. You have to have a space and no space to go forward, to get something. If there's no space, it's all taken up, huh? Whatever it is, it's full of. It's full of itself, or
Yeah.
Yeah, even the sense that it's not full is already fully this, I would say. So even the sense of lack or incompleteness is already completely full to the brim. But there isn't a thing, it's funny also with wholeness. There isn't a thing which is whole or which can be more whole than what it already seems to be or not. It gives also the idea that there's something which is wholeness. There isn't a thing which is whole.
Yeah.
Chris,
Yeah.
throw in a punch ball, my friend.
Chris is sleeping.
What?
Don't wake him
No.
I
up.
was listening. I was listening. Yeah. Um, I have been pretty tired lately though. So, um, but I mean, the word that comes up is revelation for me. Really, that seems to be important here to distinguish between what seems to be imagined by some and there seems to be a distinction between revelation and what's imagined, because what was really seemed to be revealed was what could not have ever possibly been imagined here. uh, and it wasn't like a revealing for anyone really. It was just um, yeah, I mean, it's just unspeakable. It's unnameable. This that seems to be revealed. And yeah, I mean, I'm always kind of at a loss for words, when I speak about it. But yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, it's just, I think sometimes it is important to distinguish what's being suggested here is not something that was just conjured up or imagined. That what can be revealed is more real than anything that could ever be imagined. At least that's kind of how it seems to be seen here. But
Yeah, and the imagination is also it. That's right. Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, I can imagine that something was revealed after the fact, but it still
Yeah.
seems like there's something that was revealed here, that this was not separate, and that's just undeniably the case. And there's no one that could convince me of it being otherwise. But there's really no understanding of it either. Like there's just no one here to really understand that. It's not an understanding. It's not something that I have.
Yeah, but the revelation or non-revelation, would you say that it is also part of the story, or it is not?
The non-revelation. I mean,
The
I would say that
revelation.
for me, I feel like what can simply be revealed is more real than anything. I mean, but I mean, everything is the dream, it seems. But yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, but what seems to be revealed is unknowable, but it's unmistakable.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think I'm talking because I can share intimately what you are saying. But somehow I feel that I'm talking about myself. Many times I have this revelation. And for some reason, many times the revelation seems to be lost. Then again, there comes a revelation, and then it is lost. And somehow my intuition says that, what's that? I mean, how can something be lost? I mean, there is no separation. What can be lost? And who is losing it? And what is there to be found again?
Yeah.
Well, never.
Yeah, I can see that way for sure. Yeah.
Nothing was found already able to get lost, so to say. But of course, the sense that it's lost is already not lost, nor is it found. So the sense it's found, the sense or the belief that it's found is not lost nor found already.
But there seems to be a trick. Every time you say such a thing, I feel that you are tricking me. Because I don't know how to explain, but
well, this so let's I'm going to give you also time, Rasha. So the idea, the sensation, the belief, or whatever you want to call it, the reflection, the belief, the sensation, now I got it. It's revealed, It's just what seems to be happening, right?
right.
This is also the losing of that so-called revelation, which in itself is just innocently this. There isn't a thing which is found to be lost already.
Yeah. Well, that's what seems to be revealed.
Yeah.
That's in the revealing.
I mean,
yeah, but that's the point. Yeah, I mean, what he said, that's the that's the
It's
revelation.
Playing over and over again. It's a complete
Yeah.
So of course you can call that a revelation or a revealing or whatever, That's it already. So as attaching certain, there's nothing wrong, but there can be in attaching certain values or holding dear or the fear of losing that so-called revelation, which all is this already. So it's just, what is, which can include, well, I found it, I lost it, and I found it again, and it's revealed, and now it's gone again. Which is the revelation in itself or not?
Yeah, but it's very hard for someone who feels that has lost
yes,
to feel that.
Yes. Yes. Of course, it can be very devastating. I mean, if you give a 4-year-old a toy and you take it away, it can become very cry and scream loud, I mean,
Rosa.
I mean, not to diminish this, I mean, there's just what is, which include, the sense I got it, I lost it, it's revealed, and that is the revelation itself. It's beautiful anyway.
And it's funny that some very respected teachers and speakers say that they had an experience of revelation, and since April 1998, his life has been changed. But that is also part of the story, right? I mean,
Gio, in the moment when I hear that someone got something, for me it's, or kind of putting the word enlightened or awaken or realized or stuff like this. This is, for me, this is total crap. It's total bullshit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's an absolute fantasy, fiction, science fiction already. As this.
and when people say at such and such time, the me disappeared.
Yeah.
It's part of the story.
Fairy tale, beautiful fairy tales. No escape, no escape. This is the beauty in a way. That's the joke. That's why I simply,
it's a joke.
yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke. Come on. Enjoy if you can.
Yeah, well, there may be a sense that something is lost, yes, and calling that to me, and that there. I would say again, there's
Mm.
just what is, which may include the idea that something needs to die or something needs to get lost, or there's a me and something else called the ego, and that needs to be diminished or that needs to go, which is already just simply this. So the whole idea or sensation or reflection or conclusion that something was found, lost, gathered, happened, itself is already innocently this. There's nothing more to it. And this may swiftly go, from one so-called belief, thought, morph into the next so-called thought, belief, or the absence thereof. There's just no way to control whatever seems to be happening. Razia, you had patiently your hand up. Enlighten us with your wisdom.
Okay, I mean, there's so many things that came up after that. But
Start slow.
yeah, I mean, the story thing, there is a story. And there are people that believe that story and live that story.
The walk in the
And there
park,
are people who,
right?
who apparently wake up to the story and see and look back and say, that's not what's it. And there is a thing where you, at one minute you are looking at the world and it's also normal, and you are in everything out there you're invested in it. It's personal for you.
Mhm.
And then there is this time when you change. You're looking at the same world and it's different. You're looking at it with different eyes. Somehow it's like, God, I'm not part of this. I'm not doing anything, So there is that kind of like a change which seemingly takes place. And we cannot deny that. I mean, even if I ask like Tony Parsons, he'll talk about how one minute he was sitting on the chair and the next minute there was no Tony.
Mhm.
Or Jim Newman talks about his. And Tim Kliss talks about coming down the mountain and suddenly when he gets to the bottom, there's no Tim. I mean, we cannot like deny that the story of what that is,
Oh,
that
but
there
no
is
one
the
is denying
story.
it. I
And
mean,
that's,
yeah.
No, there's no denying it.
yeah,
There's no denying,
yeah,
So
yeah.
the sense of
But after that, what you're saying, but after that, like what Rossa says, there is this, oh yeah, I mean, there wasn't a Razia, or there wasn't a Rossa or whatever, right? But
Raja,
there is
Ra-
this
Raja,
function.
Raja,
Yeah.
Raja, sweetheart, where are you when you're sleeping? In deep, deep sleep, where are you?
Well, in deep sleep, there obviously is no Razia present.
Yeah,
But the
like all
moment
those
I open
stories,
my eyes,
the stories with Tim, Tom, Jim, Bim, all those,
yeah,
beautiful stories. I mean, it's totally ordinary. It's the whole time like this. Here is,
yes,
there is a me and there is no me.
yeah,
What does this mean even, Oh, beautiful stories. Like I walked through the
yeah,
park and there was no me
yeah.
already. Oh my gosh, what a bummer.
yeah,
Yeah, I know. When he said that, it did sound funny. I mean, no, not he didn't say that he walked through the park. He said he was sitting, and then when he got up, uh, uh, Tony didn't
Yeah,
get up.
yeah, and
I
then
go,
and then or with
yeah,
Tim Kliss, like the story going up the mountains and boom, no Tim.
yes,
And this is in a
yes,
way, and then we can continue the story like how
yeah,
this is going to be the biggest trap ever. Having a glimpse and then running after this glimpse forever, like the painful story of the seeker. It's another beautiful story. There
yeah,
is no seeker to start
yeah.
with.
No, no. Yes, I understand, Rosa. I know where you're coming from, but all I'm saying is, like even Geo talking about the fact that there is a time when you seemingly are looking at the world and then it disappears and then you're back again. And some people get so upset about that. I mean, I lost it now, and it's like a story for them. So yeah, okay. I went through things like that. So thinking
Yeah,
that I lost
this
it.
is pure entertainment, Raja. This is full on entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but I mean that is what we are. We are this duality. We are this non-duality. We are and both. We cannot say that I am only that because the story continues.
Raja, who do you mean with
Yeah.
we? Who do you mean with
The
we
we
are?
that we're talking, the one that we are talking, like at this moment, there is apparent duality, an apparent rasa that Razia is talking to. I cannot deny that, you know what I mean? But I know that there is no Razia, there is no rasa, But that's the thing, now when we talk to people, we need to acknowledge that. We need to acknowledge that there is this. Even Ramana, when he spoke, I mean, you might say, oh, who's Ramana, right? But when he spoke, he said, although that the body was burnt, the garment was still there, meaning that there was this chop wood, carry water that was continuing, But you might be right. So
No,
I'll
no.
just bring
What is
yeah.
coming up here, listening to you, Raja, what's coming up here is simply like, here is zero need to know anything or interest. There is simply nothing to get already. So
Yes.
it's
No,
not
but
a
there's
knowing.
nothing
It's
to
not a
get.
knowing. It's not a knowing, but
So would you say there's no story? Would you say that there's no story?
who
That the
cares? I don't
story is
give a
the
shit.
end. That
Raja,
the story
I don't give a shit if
no,
there is a story or no story.
that you for
can
you
call it
that might
whatever
be
you want.
but for everyone else, Rasa, there is a story.
But
and it's
but you see, this is the freedom, Raja.
fact that Gio brought that up means that I know, Rasa, you could be transcended. You probably have transcended all of us, better than all of us. I don't know. But because I'm still functioning at a state where I'm listening to Gio and him talking about what you said,
But Razia,
and
sorry.
and acknowledging that, yeah. Yes. Sorry.
Well, I mean,
Raja, full on.
when you say
yeah.
no, I would say there's just a functioning. There was already not a you functioning as a you separated from this doing the functioning. There's just whatever seems to happen, including the idea that I lost myself, but there was already not an I as a separated someone who lost something which could be come back or not. It's, the whole idea something is lost or not is already not lost, nor is it found. It's just simply what is. So, I mean, I don't. This is not about diminishing any so-called experience. Experiencing the sense of or the absence of the sense of separation, or experience the so-called absence of the sense of lack. It's just simply what is. This doesn't need to change. This is not, where it seems to be, when seekers are joining these so-called meetings, it's always held as something which is reachable, where I would say, that's just simply what is. There's already no you as a separated you able to lose something or to gain something or to lose yourself, or at the same time losing yourself or not, or thinking that there are those who self or
Sweethearts on the Legion, but listening to this chat here, there may arise innocently the idea that that there is a seeker who has the sense of a me.
Oh yeah.
Who resonates now with the concept, with the idea that there is no one separated to start with already. So which is the other, in a way, side of the coin, just flipping the coins. And here, simply what's coming out is, who gives a shit? So what?
Yes.
You can go like this or
Yeah.
this or this. It's the same. There is no difference at all. But having the need to go somewhere to find something, even if it's your car key or the reality or the dream or whatsoever, that's it. For me, it's the same. There is simply no
Yeah,
difference. It's just,
of course,
yeah,
which
what it
which
is.
also includes giving a shit. So this is not about
Yeah,
not
of course.
caring.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, giving a
Yeah,
shit.
there is always that we care. We care. The
Yeah, I mean,
compassion will never go.
there's
You know
no
what I mean?
separated
That
shit
there
giver.
are these seeming others that have something, like, you know, that we have to talk about. Yeah, and acknowledge. I mean, it's you can't say no to that.
Of course I can.
Yeah,
No.
I could say that.
You know,
Yeah, I know.
there's no separated shit giver or shit taker. There's just giving a shit, or, you know, as far as it seems, not caring, and caring may happen. This is not about, you know, coming to a state where no shit is giving or given, or where not, you know,
Yes.
where caring doesn't happen. Caring or not caring happens innocently.
Yeah.
Then there's no separated you doing the caring, able to, there's no you in any state of caring or shit giving, able to move to a next state. That's just simply what it is, switching to
Yes.
caring and not caring, and liking all these beautiful stories about the death of the me, the losing of the self, which already is just selflessly this.
But Sanders, you will agree that there is still a story. That if there were no story, we wouldn't be here. You know.
Well,
You know. I mean,
I mean, Russia, you know, when you say when there would be no story, you would not be here. In a way, yes, but that's just a new story about the story of being and not being. So it's hard, right?
Yes.
I would say there's no one outside the story as a separated solid you.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, the story continues, and that's the thing. I'm still here. I'm not living in a place other than Earth or whatever it is. You know, I'm still here. I know that there's times when there seemingly is this total emptiness, and you say there's nothing there. You know, but
Where is Russia without the story?
yeah, that's the emptiness. The emptiness.
And not even.
That's
And it's the fullness.
yeah. Yeah, maybe the fullness too, but the story continues.
And Russia
I
loves the
can't say
but.
that there's no story.
Wait, let me go
Well,
to
it's
Phyllis
not my
because she
butt
was
I'm talking
waiting.
about. Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome, Russia. Phyllis,
Bye.
put your hand up for 10 minutes. Phyllis?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. It's already gone.
Yeah, it was about 10 minutes already, I saw. No problem.
That's why I cannot put up my hand, because
Yeah.
it's always already gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
there were words, and now, like Bob Dylan wrote, they're blowing in the wind.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Wind, we are the wind. It's the whole thing. It's a beautiful song. It can be not a story, but a song, a wind, a sea rushing. All of that is it. The feeling of beauty, of overwhelming beauty. But then it can be, you know, what had to be done was doing the dishes. There was a character here that did not enjoy doing the dishes, but the dishes got done. But I didn't do it. That's what happened. It just occurs with no intention. No, you cannot control it. You cannot intend it. As you say, Chris, it's revealed. There's an implosion or an explosion. Whoosh! It's like an eruption of a volcano. It can be described as those things, but it's not those things. but it's
Mm.
trying to communicate. What can be lost is the feeling, this is so beautiful. I'd like what there's a need. It just comes out, a wanting to communicate this love. It just comes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love to call it art. And I want to share here. I don't know when I noticed Geo, the play of light over there, like half of the face is dark and the other half is light. So I totally loved it. It was even darker, you know. For me, it's really like art. And yeah, thanks for sharing.
It's all a play of light. Sylvan, you sweetheart, come on, say something tonight. Nothing to say?
No, nothing.
Beautiful. I told you I love the eyes, always like sweet.
Just, I will say something.
I knew you would.
Nothing. And I know it's actually not fashionable, but last week's meeting, which was quite, I don't know, a bit messy. I gained a lot from it. I know it's not possible, but I did all the same. And I had a very nice communication with Leo as well, which was very a good explanation. So I'm very happy. I am very happy from having participated in that meeting.
Beautiful.
And I'm sure I will have gained something from tonight as well.
Let's see. You never know. Maybe a headache will come.
Well, I have. There's already something which is, yes, benefiting me. So yeah, listening is a good thing.
Claire,
I was also thinking, yeah, I was just thinking as you were all talking, I was just observing, you know. I think there's so much beauty in just watching and being that kind of sitting back and observing life. You know, there's so much doing and giving and sort of expressing. And sometimes, you know, life is just happening and you can just witness and observe and appreciate. And, you know, that in a way is doing, is that sort of culture of productivity. You know, sometimes just being part of life, just watching it go by and just admiring it, you know, watching it sort of all, as Phyllis said, watching it all sort of just flow and unfold, you know, that's the beauty. We can just be part of it. We don't have to do anything. We just, yeah, we're just sort of a witness, I guess. And I think that's lovely. I've been quite enjoying myself sitting here as well.
beautiful.
And there is no brutality, which is quite nice. People might have different views or different ideas, but even a bit of strength in it, but never aggression. I think this is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, this is not about coming to an agreement or, you know, seeing it all the same way. I would say there's nothing to see apart from the idea or belief that there's something to see or the lack thereof. So when it's already this, what is there to say?
There seems to be a real love of oneness here, because when I listen to people talk, I almost resonate with what they say. There's a sort of, we become one for that moment when people share what they were happening. It's almost like it goes into me somehow, and it's yeah, that's an interesting thing. There's just a love for that. There's not a kind of need for that. If somebody shares something that necessarily doesn't resonate, it's not just sort of resistance or a rejection, but there is a sort of enjoyment of when I hear what people share. It's that connection. It's like we become one, because what you're talking about speaks to something that I also know, but I've got a different language, I've got a different way of maybe articulating that, but I can still understand what you're saying through what you're saying, even though it's not the words that you're saying. It's something.
It's funny, right?
That's interesting. Yeah.
It can be so different because here there's no experience at all. No additional, you know, no likingness or not likingness or experiencing anything, going into something or moving out somewhere or whatever, you know. So there's an enjoyment when there seems to be, the expression innocently so, well, here there seems to be this and this happening. Well, I would say here there doesn't feel like anything is happening actually, and not even nothing is happening. So yeah, it's so
Maybe
beautiful.
I'll get there one day.
Well, I don't know if it's so. It almost sounds like it's something which is nice, right? When you say, well, maybe I get it someday, but I don't want to call it that. Nice. It's not even nice. It's not nice also. It's just anyway.
Interestingly, actually, after Phyllis explained about the fact that we don't know where we are, so I mean, I closed my eyes for a while, and I only could hear the voices. And it's like there was nothing else in my head, to be honest. I wasn't thinking about anything or trying to say anything. I just was hearing the sound of voices. And I thought that's quite amazing in that big empty space, just to hear those voices. I think that it is like being at one with everybody in that case. It was just me, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
I feel great. I'd say, in a way, that this is a simile or a metaphor. The person or the expression that comes out can be a tuning fork for the other. The resonance, since it is all the same thing with different flesh and, colored hair and all, there's an expression that seems, that's what's being felt here. It's like a tuning fork. If you have a tuning fork, all of the other forks will rise to that same vibration.
Harmony of space.
Well, sorry, Phyllis, I wouldn't say it like that,
Yeah.
I'm just giving a metaphor that there can be a resonance, saying, yeah, that I felt that, but then it's gone, and it's not better or worse, but that's part of the show, huh? Right?
Yes, but I mean, I talked about this also with Andrea in the talk I did with her. Resonating seems to give the idea that there is a you having a certain vibration and something else which is also vibrating in another level, and these two can be vibrate at the same level, right? So
no, yeah, it's just that it's a metaphor. It's not what is. What is there's nothing. There can be vibrations. How do I know? But that's an explanation of what is unexplainable.
Sorry, do you know what crossed my mind? Sorry. That if we remain totally without any story, we would go cuckoo. We would have to be taken care in a hospice.
I love that story, Gio.
But there'd be nobody to look after.
Gio, sweetheart, we are already cuckoo.
Gio. Beautiful story, my friend. Yeah, who knows? How do you know you're not already cuckoo?
No, I probably am.
That's the only explanation which is acceptable.
Gio,
it's not only that, Gio, it's the utter aloneness. He's so alone,
Well, it's more than alone.
So like I identify with Phyllis talking about listening to voices or Selvane, just the sound of voices. So beautiful. Even Dressage talking. I could love that voice, it's
but
so amazing.
It is really indeed. But if we are left without any story, I mean,
Gio, who cares then? Who cares? Without any story.
No, I care because I want to understand what is the story, because Sander keeps saying, no, even that there is a story is just another story. But
yeah,
if you are,
that's
you
true.
are-
But
you know,
won't
if
even
you are
understand
left
that. You
without,
won't even understand what the story is. There's no
Yeah.
It's
understanding.
the
You
same
only
with
what?
there are just faults. That's just another
Yeah,
fault. I mean, you cannot
exactly.
yourself. You cannot
we
start.
become attached to the story. There's an attachment there. Then. But I mean, even attachment is assuming that it's true.
What did you say, Chris?
It's just this. Where's the story?
I'd like to ask a question. I mean, you probably all have heard about what's the name of that psychoanalyst? The only one.
Which one?
Young.
Yeah, right. What's the story on this? Yeah.
Well, it's not a story, no, but what he did say is actually, how can one see the lion who has just swallowed you? And when I listen, sometimes I say, well, are we looking at it from somewhere to see it, or are we making it up anyway? So are we inside somebody else's story, but we can't see it because we are in it?
In what?
Well, exactly. In what?
In where? Have you ever seen a door
Because
into this?
no, that's the whole point. The whole point is actually we don't know where we are. And if you assume that we've been swallowed by a whale, or whatever you want to see it, you can't see it so well which has swallowed you because you're inside it.
But it's already based on the idea that there's a we who are to begin with. There is no we to begin with,
Well,
or not.
yeah, but I mean, you if you don't see from the outside, this is not, it's an assumption. It's not certain.
Yeah.
But
I think
outside-
what Sylvan is saying, Sanders, is absolute subjectivity. The eye that is seeing cannot be seen, you know?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So we all be wandering forever because we don't yet have any ways of finding out.
Well, I mean, finding out in the sense there is no separated you able to find this out. There is no you to find out that there is something to find out, or the opposite of that idea. How are you?
Well, I think you're wonderful because you have no doubt.
No doubts, no doubts.
No.
Yeah. This is it. There's nothing but it, and it's gorgeous and it's delicious. It's soft ice cream.
Try to
Sylvain, what is a doubt?
Rose, I think your questions you're like the Sphinx to me.
It's a good question, yeah.
It's a good question.
Wrong.
Yeah, if I don't answer that one, I'm going to die. So
I think that doubt is a kind of an oscillation between what we think that should be and what is not exactly what it
He wasn't
we
looking
think.
for an actual
very good,
response.
very good. Yes.
Sorry, Chris?
It's
He
insecurity.
wasn't looking for an actual response.
Not
Yeah.
being sure. That's doubting. Not being
There's
sure.
no definition that will satisfy this. What is doubt?
Okay.
But Sanders, maybe the question is not what is doubt. Who is the one that's doubting?
Oh, there is no
You
one.
know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not what is doubt, it's who doubts.
Well,
And there's no one to doubt. Yeah.
doubting.
Or is it doubting? Or is it doubting itself?
Yeah,
Doubting
there is
may
a
happen.
doubting.
As far as
Yeah.
thought suggests that doubting has happened, or as far as
Raja,
Is happening, yeah.
Raja, it's always what you claim this to be. It's very simple. You cannot go
Yeah.
right, you cannot go wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's neither this or that. The paradox exists, and we cannot,
yes.
no matter what we say, we cannot get rid of the paradox, you know.
Good.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Auntie.
Everybody.
Sorry.
No, you don't have to excuse. Hey, thank you everybody for this lovely meeting. Philip,
Thank you, yes.
Chris, good to see you. Gio, Rosa Lynchen, Sylvan,
Sander Lindchen.
Adar, good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Adria,
sweetheart.
Love you all. Missed you.
Well, thank you.
have a beautiful night.
Nice.
See
Bye-bye.
you.
But like,
Yeah.